What is good, everybody? I'm Nathan Lombardo, and across the screen from me is my co-host Christian Bergman. He's a former Colorado Rocky as well as a Seattle Mariner. And here, our guest on the Walk It Off podcast, brought to you guys by Lambo Media, is Talkin Jake, the big media personality, arguably the biggest media personality within Jomboy Media. I want to start it off with that, Jake. You're also getting into a new niche, and you kind of make some jokes out of it. It's kind of breaking news. You're kind of getting into that type of thing. We could talk about that a little bit later, but I want to start it off by talking to you about your journey in media, and then eventually how the opportunity with Jomboy Media came about.
Yeah, man. So I'm a beat reporter, dancer, model, hybrid. Trying to change the game a little bit. Man, it's been wild. So it starts a little way back. Me and Jimmy, Jomboy, go back to freshman year of high school. We played freshman baseball together. Both the short hustle guy on the team. Both like the Yankees, so we made friends of it. And then actually he moved away. We stayed in touch for the years. His family moved back. We went to college together. And then that's when times got real silly. And he was kind of always the guy with the video camera, wanted to do something. I was the idiot that was always in to do it. And, that YouTube page that's now, 800 plus K followers or whatever, that YouTube page used to be videos of us drinking in his basement. It used to be videos of us just being fools. So, going along, I just told you guys this. I lived in Denver for a little bit. We graduate college. We both enter the real world. He was doing some weddings, video editing, different kinds of stuff. I was in electrical supplies and distribution. And I went Connecticut, Dallas to Denver. Love Denver, by the way. And yeah, man, he reached out at one point. He was getting into Yankees Twitter. He, huge Yankees fan. His family is kind of built around the Yankees. Like a lot of baseball fans, you're locked in for 6 months. It's on the TV.
Right.
And so he was living in California without kind of Yankee fans around. So he took to Twitter, just started doing videos and GIFs. One day he reaches out to me and he's like, "Hey, people want a podcast." And I was like, "Don't know what that is." And, he's like, "You got to talk to me once a week about the Yankees." I was like, "All right, this sounds perfect, man. Like talk to one of my buddies once a week about Yankees feels like a good life thing to do." And then it became a little more. One podcast a week turned into 2 podcasts a week. And then we were selling some shirts, and then Jimmy went full time with it. And then I wanted to, but I was in Denver and had what I thought was a real career. And then that company kindly told me to stop coming into work. They fired me, which I agree with. My work ethic had gone downhill significantly because I was honestly locked into what we were doing, and I wanted to do it, so I jumped in the deep end. We were making no money to start. I think it's kind of out there. We were making $400 a month when we first went full time, so it was scary. I was hoping we were going to start making money. And then we stumbled into some good stuff, man. Being Yankees fans, that's a good team to be following, especially in 2017 when this new Yankees team was forming. Some cool moments, including, Boone Savage's rant, Brett Gardner hitting the dugout, the Houston Astros cheating scandal that, Jimmy became, part of the forefront of, which is incredible. So, things like that, you get lucky. You can't plan that. But, we put in a lot of work, and it's been really cool, man, that, we got an office now. We got a bunch of people that are working for us. And, now I'm in this, as I started this, I'm in a weird hybrid breaking news dancer model mold where I don't know what I am. It's the breaking news stuff has been weird, man. It's such a weird baseball thing, the way that guys handle it. And now I hope it's becoming more of a joke. I don't know if you guys seen it. I forget which site it is, but they do like all of the sources now, and it'll be like first reported he signed, first reported contract deals, first reported the terms, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like, how about we just get the information of fans who like baseball? But
and how often is that stuff not even accurate? They
Yeah,
come out
and
the next day and they say, "Oh, never mind."
yeah, and if I do it, I get yelled at. If they
Right.
do it, it's oops. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's me going on another rant. So that was the long-winded, short-winded version of it.
Yeah.
Are
So
you?
just, so I first stumbled across you guys, the Brett Gardner video, and loved it. Uh, so you know how YouTube works. Like, you watch it once, you watch the whole thing, and click through some other videos, start watching the other ones. Then I got to tell you, the one I love the most so far, it's a newer one, is the let me see, I have it pulled up here. I forget what it's called. The almost a breakdown. And I see
Mm,
you're in the in the little space right there.
I'm here,
Please tell me the story with the stickers, because
man.
I was dying watching that.
Dude, you want to talk about stumbling into something? We'd been in this studio for about a year, and we got these soundproof gray things. You can see them behind me. I mean, they're just gray blocks. So we've had them up, and they're made of a weird material. It's hard to like put stuff into them, so you kind of can't really hang stuff. So for years we kind of haven't had decorations, and then we were like, people love a good backdrop. I mean,
Right.
you got one there. You both got nice backdrops going. That for years, we do some stuff with the tight shot, so you don't always see it. But we're like, you know what, we got to do something. And so we had these stickers laying around, and we're like, will the stickers stick? And we just threw them up, and we're like, okay, let's go. And so we got a couple done. There was 2 ties in our office, so we put up the 2 ties the best we could. And then we realized midway that these things started coming down, and we were like, this is hilarious. So we were like, all right, if this keeps happening, like let's acknowledge it and then play through. And yeah, it was funny because it wasn't a planned part of it at all. We wanted to start the almost a breakdown show, or whatever we want to call it. And then I think the funny thing afterwards, we knew it was really good, we just fell into it. And then after that, the scary thing was having that be such a big part of the first show. We were like, okay, how do we kind of move on from it, but we
Right.
still want to do it a little bit. So we tied it in with the next one where we opened up, we were hammering them on the walls and stuff. But yeah, it's kind of weird because we loved it and thought it was hilarious, but we also were like, that can't be every show. Like, we want to do these every week. We can't. I think that shtick gets old quick. But
Sure.
for what it was perfect. We got lucky.
Would you say there was one particular video that you took part in that was your favorite, or the most fun to make?
Oh man, I mean, I'm a little off the deep end. Like, I'm just coming to grips with that more and more every day. And I don't know, man. I did the holiday video, and that was pretty. If you're not a baseball fan, you got to be saying like, "What the hell is that?" Even if you are a baseball fan, you're saying, "What the hell is that?"
Hey, we love it. We love it.
We had so much fun with that. Our producer Zach doesn't get enough love. He's awesome. So we were filming that, and we were trying to think of mixing in baseball beat writer names with Christmas songs, and we got the Santa suit, and we had the green screen going. So, and I think the people that get us and get what we're trying to do, they have fun with that, and the people that don't, it's almost not exposing them, but it's like, you don't have to get this. Like, this is weird. So, I don't know, man. We do so much dumb stuff that it all mixes up in my head after a certain point.
Right. And you mentioned you lived in Denver at one point. I want to talk a little Rockies with you.
Sure.
Like Christian used to play for the Rockies. I'm here in Colorado, so I'm a big Rockies fan. Unfortunately this season I'm a Rockies fan, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the current state of the Rockies and what they're doing in the offseason, what they did with Nolan Arenado, and dealing him. What are your thoughts on the current state of the Rockies and the recent move of Nolan Arenado?
It's brutal, man. I mean, I genuinely feel for Rockies fans. When we do Talkin Baseball, we always call them my Rocks, because I was dialed in, man. I was out there for 3 years. I love it. I'm a sucker for third baseman and center field. Those are the 2 positions I'm attracted to. So I mean, Nolan Arenado, And just the field is so gorgeous. Go to right field, grab a beer. You see the mountains, the sun's going down. It's like, it's almost a weird nirvana, like for me and for a lot of baseball fans. So a couple things. I love those Rockies teams that, went to the wild card games. Kyle Freeland,
Yeah.
How cool does that get? He's got the tattoos on the tattoo on the forearm. Like, he's just moxie. And those lineups are so fun. Who doesn't love Chuck Nasty? I think the thing that's been the biggest learning curve for me, which every time I talk to a Rockies person, I tell them to like spread this, is the Coors effect. And people hear that and they think, oh, hitters get their numbers boosted at Coors. Yes, but
It's overrated.
also when they go on the road, man, you're basically entering a world of baseball torture. Especially after seeing DJ LeMahieu as a Yankee fan these past 2 years, some of the best bat to ball skills you'll see in the sport. And I'm trying to picture him going on road trips and ending years being a 280 hitter, or, it really opened up my eyes, because I fought it a little bit. I was like, if baseball players are the best in the world, you learn, you adapt, you turn, when you go on a road trip, turn the slider machine up to whatever it is and figure it out. But there's something there. So I've actually been in this weird Rockies kind of sub fandom where I'm like, where does the team go? Like, what's the game plan? Because I think everyone likes doing video game stuff, like, let's get a bunch of home run hitters and try it out. I think, yeah, I know. And that's so where I'm currently at, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. And I'm getting away from the current Rockies team, and I think that's partially intentionally because it's not looking good in the NL West this year. I think the Rockies, and however their front office ends up, you got to focus on the things you can control. And I think things you can control in baseball are defense. I think the Rockies should go out and try to get the best defensive team they can have. I think on base guys with good eyes, like, sure, if your contact stick doesn't travel, you can still get on base and battle a little bit. And then I don't know what to do with the pitching. Nobody does. I mean, Christian, if you can help me out, I mean, you've got experience there. What do you do?
We kind of talked about this last week, or a couple weeks ago, but the issue is, like, to bring a hitter into Coors is not hard to do. Any hitter will willingly go hit in Coors Field, especially a guy, I can think of guys I played with at the time, Mark Reynolds. Okay, he was coming off a down year. Hell, he'll go in and sign a 1-year deal there, and maybe parlay that into a future deal. So the hitting is very easy, but it's the opposite effect for the pitching, because they tried bringing in pitching and it blew up in their face, guys on multi-year deals. And what happens is a pitcher knows that, and they don't, they're well aware of the effect of pitching there. And so they're going to want more money if they're going to go potentially torpedo their career. They're going to need a little more money. So they have to overpay for pitching that they're not sure they're going to get the value of. And I mean, who is, but especially in that environment. So I think personally, and this was kind of what they were doing when I was there, they have to develop their pitching.
Yeah.
From, they have to get, whether it's through trades or through the draft or international signings, they need to develop their guys and have them pitch in places like I pitched, Colorado Springs, which was higher than Denver, Albuquerque. Basically, all of the Pacific Coast League is horrible to pitch in, except for Tacoma. That's how they have to develop their pitching, and Freeland's a good example of it. They developed him, and I watched him, as a new draft come all the way up, and so even though he's had his fair share of bumps in the road, he also put together like the best season ever. So I think that's the route that they have to go in regards to pitching.
Yeah, no, it's brutal, man. You feel bad, and that's another weird thing that I don't know how you addressed it, but Gomer, who comes over for Arenado, I mean, you feel for him a little bit, like your career trajectory just changed. You were part of the St. Louis rotation, and it looked like you were figuring it out, and now it's like pitchers are praying for you.
I think
you just hope that you have enough. He's young enough to where they're going to obviously give him time when you trade Nolan Arenado for you. Yeah. Obviously, they have some sort of faith in you. So, it takes time.
And we've talked about this in the past. I think, as of now, most definitely, I think all three of us can, say this confidently, is the fact that the Cardinals most definitely won this trade as of now, but we really won't see who won this trade till 5 years down the line. Maybe, I was talking to Christian about this in the past couple of weeks, maybe Nolan does what Troy Tulowitzki did when he, transitioned over from the Rockies to the Blue Jays and is just injury prone after he leaves the Rockies. But we can, rant on about that for hours and hours. But we talked about the Rockies, and I want to transition into talking a little bit about the Astros. You have the Houston Trastros sweatshirt on. What were your thoughts, when that video that that breakdown that Jimmy made, what was kind of going through both of your guys' head when you guys initially found out that it started to get millions and millions of views, and what was kind of, the conversation between you two?
It was nuts, man. So that day, Jimmy was moving. He was moving from New Jersey to the city. So literally his Wi-Fi was getting set up and stuff. He didn't have, he was recording in an empty room, which you guys know if you're doing that for content, it's actually, you get bad echoes and stuff. So he found it, and, he read the article, which we always, I think it's funny, especially all the hate that Jim's gotten from the Houston area. The article was written by Rosenthal and Drellich. What Jimmy did is he brought it to life. I think it's one of the best examples. I don't know what they're teaching in college or anywhere. I don't know what they were doing even when I was there. But that should be the number one example of new media. Ken Rosenthal and Drellich did, research, and they talked to people, and they came up with this. And, it was an awesome article, but it was an article and it was behind a paywall. Jimmy reads it, goes on YouTube, puts a video together in 45 minutes, and you can see it. And I think any baseball fan, the first time I watched that video, my heart dropped, man. It really did, just because when Farquhar hops off the mound after those bangs, you're just like, damn, that's real. That's real. You can't be making that up. So I don't know. Then I jumped to the 2017 Yankees as a Yankee fan. They went 7 games with that team, and you can drive yourself nuts as a fan. I can only imagine how the players feel. And then you start talking about reputations and resumes. Judge finished second to Altuve in the MVP that year. Now you're talking about money in guys' pockets. Tanaka just left the Yankees to go back overseas, and people are giving the New York, well, he never even went to the World Series. Well, would he have if that other team wasn't cheating?
A lot of questionables.
It's messed up, and the player aspect, I think more and more as that came out, guys were Googling dudes' careers who, I think guys made their debuts at Houston that year and got rocked. And I can't even imagine if I found out I had dedicated my life to becoming an MLB player and I get my opportunity and I get shelled and I'm sitting there in the locker room, half happy I did it, half just drinking my own tears at that point. Then to find out years later that those guys were doing that, it literally the face I just made, it makes me uncomfortable.
You really nailed a lot of things there. People would kind of ask me, about the punishment they got and stuff, and it's like, dude, it's a drop in the bucket. First of all, it's the cost of doing business that won the World Series. Second of all, it is impossible, just like you said, to calculate the butterfly effect of what they were doing. And just so you know, having played for Seattle in 2017, and even with the Rockies, we played Houston a few times. Everybody knew that Houston was really good at getting pitches. Nobody knew how they were doing it. Now, I'm not saying they were using the trash can every time. They probably weren't. But as a pitcher, when you're out there you know when something's not right. And it could be, the way a guy takes a pitch, the way a guy swings at a pitch. Like, there are little things where something is going on, and Houston always was very good at it. So I won't say anything beyond that, but the fact that it came out that was going on was absolutely no surprise to me personally, because everybody in the game knew. We just didn't know how.
And that's the part that's messed up, man. And we talked about Jakey Reporter a little bit. Like, people in the game kind of knew, but they kind of couldn't come forward with it, And we, now that we're kind of in the bubble, we talked to guys that knew, and they, they wanted to say something in their press conference and be like, but they were told by their agents and their team to bite their tongue because they knew this story had to come out in its own fashion. And like, that's messed up on a lot of levels. So, right. And I don't know, man, I love being silly and a fool, but I also love the stats side of baseball. And, everyone came out with their numbers, and I haven't met this guy, and I'd love to ask him face to face, and we have the first name, Jake Marisnick, who, just signed another contract, and he was on the Mets last year, and he hit in a very small sample last year. His career hitting numbers are quadruple A at best. The 1 year he hit was 2017 at home. So you talk about butterfly effect, there's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that can go track down a fly ball. How many of them get the chance to play Major League Baseball? If Marisnick had another 500 OPS season, would he have gotten sent down and another guy gets a shot and maybe he figures something out? Like, it's the butterfly effect really is crazy and freaks me out just normally. Like, that movie freaked me out. But when you tie it to baseball, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a big reason that the punishment was so debatable, whether it was a right or wrong punishment as far as the extreme of the punishment, even though it wasn't that extreme. But I think a big reason for it being so debatable was the fact that there's so many unknowns of that year. And, Jake, like you were mentioning, it goes way deeper than just, a World Series champ. You look at players that made their MLB debuts, players that, had a bad season against, the Astros hitters. It goes way deeper than that. But, Jake, we love your personality. Christian and I were both talking about this. A lot of guys do. You even mentioned it just a little bit earlier. How big of an impact do you think your personality has had on your success and your growth as far as your personal brand and personal name goes?
Man, that's a low-key heavy one, depending how far I want to go into it. Man, I'll say this. It's funny in hindsight. Like, I reference being in the real world. Like, you can ask the people I used to work with, and they tell you, like, I was a nice guy, fun, good time, probably good for the office. I don't know if I was great for the business. I was good for the office. Like, I was friendly. And going back, man, like, I was always decently funny, and you just don't know what that is. Like, to get kind of heavy, like, you always, I never want to do stand-up. Like, I didn't want to be that guy. I didn't want to wake up and be, 39 and I'm still going to comedy clubs on Tuesday, Thursday nights and getting hammered and probably, like, being weird to the waitresses. I don't know. So I kind of hit a point where I was at grips, like, keeping, I'd go to work and I'd do well. I wanted to do well in life and have, a nice house. And, if I could afford to play some golf, that I was ready for that. So I do think the more and more we get into this, the more and more I'm comfortable being me. And, I like getting silly. If my comedic idols, or I don't even need to say comedic, just guys I idolize, like, go look at some of the stuff Jack Black's doing. Like, Jack Black just being however old he is now, and he's doing stuff in a Speedo, just hanging out, and, like, it's kind of like, what am I watching? But part of that speaks to me, and it's part how I'm wired, and I grew up on Saturday Night Live probably too early, and I love all the classic comedy movies. So I don't know, man. I love making people laugh and trying to do that, and it's a weird mix because what do you do with that? Because I do like talking baseball, and I love, I think I have some decent baseball takes here, so it's finding that balance and what you want to do. At the same time, I think it's knowing your lane, and like if we started talking two-seam fastballs and I started correcting Christian, like I would come off as some sort of asshole. Like I don't have that in me. But I think if we were having a conversation about the future of the Astros, I think I could say like I've got this theory brewing about do things you can control, because you can't control the altitude and the weirdness of Coors Field. So it's fine in your lane, and I think as Jomboy started going and he had the breakdowns, I'm still looking for my thing, my once a week, my twice a week go to, and that's like kind of the creator's conundrum. What's going to be my thing? And right now I'm in a good place, man. The people that follow me know they're going to get a good dose of silly, a good dose of baseball with some other sports and stuff mixed in, and yeah, it's working for now, I guess.
Absolutely. And, as we're approaching the end of this interview, Jake, I want to talk to you a little bit about the relationship between you and Jimmy O'Brien, Jomboy. How important has that relationship between you guys been for you and your guys' chemistry while behind the camera and recording podcasts?
It's huge, man. I mean, I mentioned all my comedic idols. For me, it was comedy and sports. Like I didn't really do Nickelodeon. I went straight to ESPN. So I don't know, like a show like PTI, where Wilbon and Kornheiser have been so good for years, and their chemistry was good. And I think ESPN went so far away with that, with the First Take and guys yelling at each other. And even people talk about Barstool, and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about Barstool. I think the thing that's different is a lot of those guys have characters. Not to blow up Carabas's spot. He plays, kind of the bully online and the Red Sox guy. Like, in person, he's a really nice dude. Just a friendly guy. Me and Jimmy are who we are. We have been throughout the whole process. We're best buds. We have a good time, and I think that's what's so cool about our community of fans. Like, it's that group chat effect. Like, everyone likes feeling a part of something and the inside joke. And we have that with a lot of people, and it's not a shtick. Like, we just, again, I told you guys, and they'll leak out one day. There's videos. We used to set up a camera, and this sounds creepy in hindsight. We used to set up a camera, and we would have our buddies write in questions, and we would read a question, we'd answer it, we'd take a shot, and then 5 minutes later, we'd read another one. To the point we do, like, I think our record was like 12. And I mean, you can imagine like what we looked like on camera as 23-year-olds, like wildly drunk.
Is this out there?
It's down now. It's down now. I don't know if anyone ripped it. I'm sure there will be a day when we happily release it, but man, like it's been genuine, and it's kind of funny. Like, I think the couple times that we have run into, a Yankee player that we disagree on. I mean, we overlap on 90%, if not more, of stuff, but that stuff we don't disagree on, when maybe there is not a hot moment, but a contested moment, like, our fans will be like, "Whoa, what was that?" Like, and but it's all genuine, man. That's kind of what we're built on, and that also, talk about feeding your ego. Like, the fact that people like me and Jimmy being me and Jimmy, that's as cool as it gets.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys get any work done.
I think I just get tricked into it. Anytime I'm talking to a camera, talking to you guys, it doesn't feel like work. So
right.
That's kind of my trick.
Yeah, I guess work's not a great word for it.
Well, we do some of the meetings and emails and stuff, and then me and Jimmy look at each other and like, this sucks. Let's not do this.
That's exactly how I feel when I'm recording. And, I kind of relate to you on this, and I want to get your perspective before we, head into the outro of this interview with Talkin Jake of Jomboy Media. I used to play baseball at the high school level as well. I'm still a junior in high school. You mentioned you played, baseball with Jimmy in particular in high school as well. Do you think that's benefited you down the line and even up to this point, given the fact that you had, some perspective on being a baseball player, even though it was at the high school level?
I mean, I would say overplaying. I watched a ton of baseball, man. Like I'd watch every Yankees game. I'd do my homework while watching the Yankees. Michael K, like the fact we're friendly with him now, like, all the guys that have been in the yes booth. I mean, David Cohn, Jim Cott, like, I learned a lot from them. I mean, playing, you've got your little things, and I can pick out some anecdotes. The one thing that I always, I usually go silly with it. You go back to the T-ball or Little League, the thing that everybody can kind of relate to, and you do some of that. But I don't know, man. It feels like tooting my horn way too much for what I was as a baseball player. The only thing, I got good jumps on balls in center field. That was the one thing I could do. It felt like my feet were moving before the ball hit the bat. But, like, again, how can I use that as analysis? Like, I can, right. Jackie Bradley with a great jump there. That looks like me. Like, that ain't it. So,
well, I think it does help. You can always, from my perspective, I can always tell if someone played at any point. And so it may not even be like you mixing it into a conversation like that where you're saying, oh, yeah, you got a great jump. That looks like me. And it doesn't even have to be like that. It can even be the way that you use your words and stuff like that reflects someone who not only watched baseball, but has, even if it's superficial, just a little bit deeper understanding of the game because you've done it. Even if it was in high school, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think, and I think, yeah, the only where I tiptoe a little bit is I do, softball, and we have some women that do really cool podcasts for us that I think what you're saying is right. And I think I was trying to look of what some of my sayings I say, but like, I think if you've ever experienced that first time, even in Little League or whatever it is, that you've got a pitcher throwing heat and then the next pitcher comes in and they're throwing a little less and you're like, let's go. Like, I think there are some of those feelings and emotion that people can tie into in baseball, and you can link it to the pros a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, listen up, Jake. We really appreciate you hopping on. Once again, that's Talkin Jake of Jomboy Media. We're here, Christian Bergman, and I'm Nathan Lombardo. This is the Walk It Off podcast brought to you by Lambo Media. Jake, like I mentioned, really appreciate you taking the time. Congrats on all the success thus far within Jomboy Media, and there's definitely a lot more to come.
Hey, thank you, man. This was fun, guys. This is what I like doing.
We enjoyed it, and we'll definitely, hope to connect with you in the future as well.
Sounds good, man. I'm in.
Take care, man. See ya.
Thank you.